Hello everyone. In this video, I want to show you how to use dollar signs. Now, dollar signs, what we also refer to as cell referencing, is extremely important. And for whatever work that you're doing, this is one of the integral things that you have to be super clear. Sure, you can do a little bit of trial and error, but that is never a good approach. And it is very important that you know exactly how and when to use the dollar signs and when not to use them. Let's look at our data set. So we have the value for three products: soap, shampoo, body wash, 100, 200, 300. And then we want to multiply each one of these three numbers with 10%. Now, when I try to multiply 100 with 10%, everything works, we get 10. But the moment I try to copy this formula down, it is not working properly. Now, Excel is trying to be over helpful. And Excel thinks that because we have copied the formula down, C10 should become C11 and D9 should become D10. But we don't really want that, right? We want the cell D9 to remain D9. That is the reason we put a dollar sign on D9. So a dollar sign comes in two places. One is before the column, which is D, and the other is before the row, which is 9. The shortcut to put a dollar sign is the function key F4. Do keep in mind that on some of your laptops or computers, you might have to press the function and the F4 key, depending on the hardware configuration you have. Or you can put it manually as well. By doing this, we are locking the cell D9. And when I drag it down, you notice that it remains D9 in all the three cells. So while C10 is becoming 11 and 12, my D9 is never changing. Now, what would be a case wherein you should not be putting a dollar sign? So imagine something like this. So I want to multiply my price with my units. Now, in this case, when I multiply C16 with D16 and I copy the formula down, of course, I want C16 to become C17 and D16 to become D17, right? Hence, we will not put a dollar sign. And this is what we call a relative reference. And this, everyone, is what we call a absolute reference, since both of them have been locked. And then what would be a case where you will only be locking up either the column or the row? Let's look at that. So let's copy this. And we say that we have a 10% growth, we have a 20% growth, and we have a 30% growth as well. Now, I want to know what would be my expected sales value for soap if I'm growing by 10% the next year. So this would be C21 multiplied by 1 plus 10%. Very simple. But the problem is that this works, but when I try to copy it across, it doesn't work. In this case, D20 became D21, which we did not want. And in this case, you notice that C21 has become D21, which again we did not want. Now here, I will only be putting a dollar sign on the left column or the first column, which has all the sales values in it. But we will not put a dollar on 21 because how will it become 22 and 23 if I do put a dollar sign? So I want to keep 21 open because it has to become 22 and 23. And here we want to put a dollar on 20 because all the percentages are in the 20th row. And why not a dollar on D? Because we want D to remain free and to move to E and F as well. So again, if I copy and paste, you notice it works perfectly. Now, in one of my other videos, I also covered dynamic arrays where I show that you don't need to actually do this. You can simply multiply 3 cells with 3 cells and create a matrix, but this is very important as well. While in certain cases, dynamic arrays would be better or at least an alternative to using dollars, There are a lot of cases where dollar signs are extremely important and even essential. So don't skip out on learning any of this. So here we have seen relative reference, which means the dollar sign is either on the column or on the row. I'm sorry, this is mixed referencing, which means either on the column or on the row. Then we have relative, which is no dollar. And then we have absolute, which is a dollar on both the column and the row. On a very advanced note, even though most of you would not be requiring it, just to keep in the back of your mind, we do have a function called address. Now, how that works is that if I put in the row and the column number, I'm just taking 5 and 5, for example. So this essentially will be E5, right? So the E column and the fifth row. You notice that here I have the option of making it absolute row, relative column, relative row, absolute column, or relative, which means that if I select 1, then it becomes $E $5, 2 becomes E $5, 3 becomes $E5, and 4 becomes E5. Again, right now you might not really see why we are using it, but then for a lot of financial models where you want to select these cell and ranges dynamically, this is very important. So not important at the moment, but keep this somewhere in the back of your mind.